In 2022, I left the metaphorical nest that is my mother's house to move into an apartment with my girlfriend. And I actually made a video about that, if you remember it. But since that video came out, we lived in that apartment, absolutely hated it, and moved out in the summer of 2024. At that point, I had vowed that we would never rent an apartment ever again. Fast forward to fall of 2025, and we had accomplished just that. We had bought our very first house. Now, before we begin, I do need to make a disclaimer. We bought a mobile home, not a brick and mortar house. While I don't own the land that the house sits on, I still own the house itself, and I can do whatever I want with the interior, the siding, stuff like that. Nonetheless, it's still a house to me, so shut up. We bought this home in October of 2025, and when we bought it, it was not in much of a livable situation. To put it lightly, the front window was smashed in, so we had to replace it. There was a whole lot of rotten drywall, which we decided to rehang and patch as we went. We had also decided to completely deep clean the place. That meant we needed to scrub and clean the floors, vacuum and shampoo the carpets, and make sure that all the cabinets, cupboards, countertops, and all other nooks and crannies were clean before we could move in. Now this sounds pretty bad, doesn't it? Well, fear not, as there were a lot of things that were good with the house. The floors were in really good shape. There was no weak spots, no damage to the subflooring at all. While the drywall itself was not in good shape, the studs holding it up was actually pretty perfect. It was actually really good looking. And the house was not full of any mildewy smells or bad smells that we had to completely scrub out. So that was a plus. With all of our cleaning done and our drywall now freshly hung up, it was time to paint. We painted almost every single room because the stock drab white that every room was painted with was kind of boring for us, and we are not millennials. While we were painting the bathroom, we had discovered that the floor under the toilet and the tub was rotted out. So I kind of lied when I said the subflooring was good, but it was only in that one room, so it was okay. We decided to tear out the subfloor, and we had to replace some of the studs underneath of it. Once we had done that, we put in a new sturdy subflooring, painted it with some kills, and adhered some new flooring onto the floor. And voila, we have a brand new bathroom floor. Moving into the place was not as stressful as it was for when we were moving into the apartment. For starters, we didn't have to drive as many miles. The place was only like maybe a couple miles from where we were staying, and it was not like 80 to 100 miles. We had also decided to take the proper amount of time off of work so we could get nice and moved in and maybe have a day or two where we can enjoy ourselves. And we did have some complications while moving in though. For starters, we had decided to move in the middle of January. Don't ever do that, because you can never predict the weather. Halfway into the week that we had allotted ourselves, it started snowing. So we had to drag our furniture and our valuables in the middle of a snowstorm. And that was not fun, to be honest. And while me and my girlfriend had the week off, many of the people that were helping us move in did not have the week off. So it was a little rough some of these days where it was just the two of us trying to move stuff in. But other than that, we had a relatively smooth time moving stuff in. With all the renovations done and all of our stuff moved in, it was time to live in this house. And this is where we realized that the renovations may never ever stop, even after you move in. I must be in my home project era because I have so many things that I want to do to this house, even now that we're moved into it. For starters, I want to build a center island bar in the kitchen. There is a lot of open space in our kitchen, and I feel that this is the best thing to fill it with. And you must be thinking to yourself, Greg, why don't you just put a dinner table there? And that would be a good question. If only you had realized that it was just me and my girlfriend living in the house. We don't really need a dinner table because, if we're eating dinner, we're probably just going to be on the couch watching TV anyway. Also, the dinner table is kind of a dying breed in America unless you live in the burbs or something, but I'm not rich enough for that. Unless you subscribe. The island bar will also serve as a bar. I'm not a bartender. I'm not going to be serving up alcohol to randos on the street, but more as a entertainment center, places to host friends for, parties or events. On top of that, it will also provide us extra counter space and cupboard space that we may need. Another project that I want to do to this house is put a front porch on it. We just have like one of those little fiberglass stair things, and it's really not for me. I would rather have a nice wood base front porch, preferably with like a screen and a storm door on the outside of it. Something to give us a gap between the inside and the outside. And with that front porch, I want to put some proper gutters up, because I'm tired of getting dripped on by water whenever I go into the place, like when it's raining. And lastly, ironically, which is what I'm probably doing first, I'm going to be replacing all the baseboards on the floors and the walls, because these are ugly and they're mismatching. And, it's a simple little thing that'll just add some cohesion to the house. Now, Greg, that sure is a lot of things you're going to do. What a very nice observation you made. I'll give you the gold star, because that observation just helped me make the realization that since you made that observation, I can milk this stuff for content if I really wanted to. So subscribe if you want to see me become a handyman. Subscribe. Now this sure is a lot of me talking about how I'm going to be a handyman. And you guys are probably wondering, what is it actually like to live in this house? And I'm not going to lie, it's pretty darn good. It's really satisfying to think that my lights are on, my bills are paid, I got nothing to do, I can just sit here, read Berserk on a pirating website with the absolute worst internet provider known to man. It's just also nice to have my own space back. For the last couple of years, I was living with my girlfriend's parents, hopefully in-laws, and it was not stressful, not, bad or anything, but man, there was just not a lot of space for me to live. I had to put a lot of things on the back burner. I had to make a lot of sacrifices while I was living there. And now that I'm back in my own living space, I have my own stuff again. It's really nice to have my own space. I can do whatever I want. I can be as productive or unproductive as I want, depending on when this video comes out, probably on the latter half. But it's also nice to have my privacy and, just live the life I want to live without judgment. But this comes at a cost. And it's a major cost now that we're heading into the summer months. I ain't got no HVAC in this house. We moved into the middle of winter, and the only thing we had was a furnace, and that was great. The furnace worked perfectly for us. But now that it's getting warmer out, if it's like above 70 degrees, this thing becomes an absolute boiler. And I'm not even lying, dude. I could run around naked in this house, and I would still be sweating up a storm. It got so bad in this last week that on a whim, we decided to run to the store, buy a $200 AC unit to put in the window, and it was probably one of the best Hinge decisions we've ever made. So I'm not gonna lie. But now we have a bit of air conditioning. It's nice. We got the air moving. Everything is fine again. But we just have to wait until the dog days come. And another downside is that while we have a lot of living space, there's not really a lot of space. Ideally, in the future, I may want to have a house with more space, maybe more acreage in the lot, and more, closet space, because we're making a lot of sacrifices with our storage space here. Other than that, I'm very grateful that we have this place. It's going to serve us very well within the next couple of years. But there are already some things that I want in my next house for when we move out. For starters, I want like a barn or a garage. Because if you guys didn't know, I'm a car guy now. And I would love to have a place to tinker on project cars, store up the cars I want to keep, and, have a big enough garage to fit a hydraulic lift so I never have to use jack stands again. I would also want at least like 2 or 3 acres of land. I know it's a lot of upkeep, but I am in love with large spaces because I have a lot of ideas to fill that space. I would want room for things like a chicken coop, a large garden. That would be great, growing yummy foods. And there's some miscellaneous things like, she shed or, a fire pit. And personally, for me, I would want like a cold plunging tub. I think that would be pretty cool. Now, I don't want to go like insane with my next place. You know, I don't need like a luxury mansion with a 6-car garage. I just want, you know, my inside space, something small, probably like a ranch house with a 1 floor and a basement. That would be suitable for me. I'm more focused on what I want on the outside of the house. I've come to recently appreciate like a semi homesteading lifestyle, you know, where you live off your land, you grow yummy foods, things like that. Wow, this video is getting a little long. Let's just make some cuts here because I could yap on about this forever. And I've got some other big projects to work on now. There we go. All right, let's just cut straight to the conclusion paragraph here. I cannot tell you how liberating it is to own a house. Granted, it's a trailer. I understand that. Some people don't see trailers as real houses. But I'm not going to let that bother me. I'm living by my best possible means at the moment. And honestly, I cannot recommend it enough. You should live by your best possible means. Whether it be renting, living in a trailer park like me, or owning 14 mansions. If you are doing your best, then that's all I'm going to ask of you. And I'm proud of you. Have a good night. Hey there, post-editing Greg here. Just letting you know, my next video might take a little longer than this one. I understand this one took a little bit of time. I apologize for that. Been very busy lately. But my next one is going to be a big one. You are going to want to stick around for it because it's gonna be good, I guarantee it. Alright, otherwise, have a good day.